Alright, so today interviewing Edward Hore. This is the first episode to the segment Why I Ride, and just so you guys can get a feel, the audience can get a feel of what this sort of series is going to be about. And so interviewing him first, and basically this is why we ride. So, who are you?
Well, my name is Edward Hore. I'm the president of the Australian Cycle Alliance, but I'm not just that. I also work in IT. I've got a family. I am who I am. I just enjoy riding my bike as much as I can. And after I had a crash, I decided to become an advocate as well.
And so, why advocacy? I mean, people when they have these sort of incidences, why do you think they move into advocacy?
It's interesting. We always talk about this. When people have a crash, they tend to work their way into advocacy somehow quite often, or if they know someone who's died, they work their way into advocacy. Basically, tragedy brings advocates, is the way I like to describe it. And yeah, what we see is people become advocates after they get disillusioned by the system, and they need to find an answer, and they need to find solutions, and because they can't find them, they actually go out and they seek them, and that's how they fall into advocacy. For me, I had a crash on my bike crossing over Chandler Highway, and I couldn't find any organisation that gave a damn. Cycling Victoria at the stage I didn't even know I could contact them. I was a member of Bicycle Victoria at that stage. They gave me really bad advice, and although they've improved a lot since then, they gave me bad advice, and therefore I decided I'd go out and seek information about who looks after daily cyclists or commuting cyclists, because my crash was on a commute. Yeah.
So, you do commuting, but so what sort of riding do you do? Do you do what sort of it? What is it?
Okay, well, I own 7 bikes. I own a mountain bike, a road bike. This is my current road bike behind us, the Gran Fondo GF01 from BMC. Love my BMCs. I have a racing road bike, which is my SLX01, which I haven't raced on in quite a few years now, unfortunately. I've got my commuting bike. I've got my single speed. What else have I got? Oh, well, I had a track bike, so I've got 6 bikes now. And I've got my my cruiser, which I loaned out to someone else a while back, and I haven't actually used it since I got it back. But I do all sorts of riding. Today I rode into the city dressed in what I'm wearing right now, but I'll also ride on beach road as fast as I can. I'll enter occasional races when I feel like it. I shop on my bike. I do meetings from my bike. I'll do appointments. I like to commute. I do everything from my bike. I hate driving, and you know that how much I hate driving, so I'll do anything I can by bike.
Do you have a favorite bike?
Do I have a favorite? I do have a favorite bike. I never got to ride it, but by far it was going to be my favorite bike. It was a BMC MPEC, red, one of the few in the country. Didn't get to ride it, unfortunately. We won't talk about that. The GF01 is a great bike. It's what I call that my 4-wheel drive of bikes, because I sit up really high on it and I can see over the top of the peloton when I'm riding in a bunch. The SLX01 is still probably one of my favorite bikes I've ever had, because it's sleek, it's fast, and it's really aerodynamic. I love the SLX01. It's a really good bike.
So, how did you get involved with riding bikes?
I had no choice as a kid. The only way to get around town where I come from was by bike. The only way to make money was to have a paper round. The only way to do things was by bike. School was by bike, and by accident I just enjoyed riding so much that I started to race. Started on the track. A coach in New Zealand saw me for the Timaru Cycling Club and said to me that I'm not a track racer, I need to go on the road, and I started racing on the road.
And what are some of your best experiences riding a bike?
Look, there's no one best experience I can ever talk about. it's more about every time I ride the bike, I enjoy it. My mental health improves dramatically as well as my physical well-being improves dramatically every time I ride the bike. I enjoy getting out there, meeting new people. The bike's a social implement. You can go out, stop at a corner and start talking to someone and they'll usually talk back to you. Today, riding down High Street in Westgarth, I pulled up beside some young lady who was riding her bike into the city and said to her, I've just gone past 90 cars. I don't think there was more than one person in the car. And she turned around and looked at me and she said, "Nah, you never do." And she laughed and smiled and carried on her way. Riding a bike is one of those social implements that you just really get to enjoy all the time. So there's not one thing, one day I can really point out. I mean, coming first in some of the races that I've done are great. I have great enjoyment from, great memories, but I really consider myself remembering the longest bike ride I've ever been on being a great day. But I also remember riding to the city and meeting people being a good day.
So, what are some of your most funny experiences? Things that make you laugh afterwards?
Well, I suppose more than anything, it's the characteristics of seeing people on the road and what they do. From the bike, we see a lot of mistakes made by drivers and by cyclists, but mainly by drivers. Today, for example, again, another example of riding around today jumps into my head, where I noticed someone talking on their mobile phone and they immediately accused me of being sexist because it was a woman on a phone. That made me laugh. I thought it was hilarious. I also have seen so many weird things from the saddle when you ride around. There's lots of things that I come home and I laugh about. We joke about some of the things, but you know, every day is a new start, a new day. Every day is a bit of enjoyment and a bit of fun.
Yeah, I would have thought Heath would come to mind.
Oh,
With the
Heath!
funny
Oh,
experiences that happen on the bike.
oh, Heath is funny. Heath is a character that we love. The Dark Knight, he's known as, and I suppose that's one of the funniest stories that I always tell these days. Is the day that we were down at Soul Racer when it was still open, and I was talking to someone. I can't even remember who it was now, but you were standing over to next to Heath and chatting away, and the person turned around and said, "Oh, is that your younger son over there?" I said, "No, that's Terence." "No, beside Terence, that that's Heath Ryan. He's older than me." No, no, no. I have a younger daughter, not a younger son. She's not down here. She's at home, and that is Heath Ryan. He's actually older than me. So yes, Heath is always full of a laughter. He's the one that we always walk away with going, "Do we really do that ride? Yes, it was funny, and yes, it was dangerous." So yeah, dangerously funny.
So, you talked about your commuting. Now, when you're on the weekends, where do you sort of ride on the weekends?
Well,
Where's your best place you like to ride on the weekends?
okay. I'm going to shock everyone. I'm 104 kilos at the moment, but I still love my hills. I actually do love climbing a hill. I can't do it at the moment. We won't go into why, but I can't climb at the moment very well. I remember times when I was coaching you to ride and we would go up Hume Vale. You would take off like a bullet. You know, bang, 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 up that hill.
Include another bang, bang, bang!
And then before the end of the hill, I just casually ride past you and you go, "How did you do that, Dad?" It's called consistent riding. We learned how to do it back home in New Zealand, climbing those huge big mountains. So I love climbing, but not at the moment. I usually tap out down at Beach Road as fast as I can. I like going fast down Beach Road. I like going past the groups. People look at me and they go, "How the hell is he so fast?" Because I'm still very fast.
You've mentioned New Zealand a couple of times. What's the difference between New Zealand and sort of Melbourne?
I can't answer that anymore. I haven't been back over there for a long time. I do know that New Zealand is still more cycling cultured than here because we all grew up with bikes over there and that's still the same. That hasn't changed that much. The cyclist hatred over here is generically born out of two states in Australia and I reckon it's because they weren't given bikes as kids, whereas we were all given bikes as kids in New Zealand. We were all given bikes as kids in some of the other southern states as well. Um, but New Zealand's culture, New Zealand's culture was born around the bike. We commuted to school. I mean, everyone commuted to school by bike. Um, there are times when I was late getting back from the paper round, going home, having a shower, getting ready, going to school, and I'd leave my bike out the front of the school because everyone knew everyone else's bikes, and no one would steal a bike. And I'd run across the grass and go to class, and I'd hear Mr. McGregor yelling out, "Hore, get off the grass!" That's one of my favourite stories, I suppose. But look, cycling in New Zealand when I was growing up was key to my growth, and you could ride for days and not have to worry about anything, camp anywhere you wanted to, and just have a really good time.
Yeah, and if we go backpedal a little bit,
Backpedal, okay.
you can do that on a fixed gear, which I do own. Do you own a fixed gear, Dad?
I don't own a fixed gear, I own a single speed. I used to own a fixed gear, someone got that as a TT bike. Who got that as a TT bike?
I think that's some bit of undertone. Might need some bit of referencing.
Who got my TT bike? My track bike. It's a TT02. It's red and black. I remember I bought it from Switzerland.
You did buy it from Switzerland.
I did buy it from Switzerland. I remember riding it on the track down at Disc, and I remember giving it to someone because they needed a TT bike. Who did I give that to, Terence?
I can't remember.
Okay, for those watching right now, I gave it to Terence. We reconverted it back to being a time trial bike,
yes, we did. Yes, we did.
And put my zip wheels on it because I'm too fat for the zip wheels.
Yes, we did. So back to riding a beach road with all the pelotons and things like that. Why is beach road so notorious for having just massive pelotons?
I think it goes back to the culture of Victoria and Victorian riding. We really celebrate our riding in Victoria, and we love to do it as a social thing. And when we ride out, now you know yourself, when we ride out together, we'll start out and we don't like being at the back of the peloton most of the time. We like to be actually in the wind. And we'll look behind us by the time we get to Mordialloc, and there'll be up to 30, 40 riders behind us easily on a regular basis. I think that's what it boils down to, is pelotons form behind, and it's social. Then there are times when we get tired and we'll join on the back of someone else's peloton. One thing we do ask though, guys, if you do join us on a peloton, just say hello. Just, and if we drag you back from one suburb to another suburb, just say thanks. I have no problem at all with the social aspect that we have in Victoria, but I do think it's important that we remember to celebrate the peloton. Now, by peloton, we're talking about bunches. We're not talking technically about pelotons. We know that. We know that pelotons really technically in a race, but we do call them pelotons on Beach Road, and they do grow. The largest peloton I think I've ever dragged back was with a group of 5 of us, which was me, Simon, Pierre, David, Edwin and myself, coming back from Arthur's Seat on a 40 plus day, coming into a northerly headwind, and we dragged a whole, I don't know how many people back. There would have been more than 80 people in the peloton, and coming back past the petrol station down in Beaconsfield Parade and going, guys, earn your turn, Jesus. And we just dragged them back for miles, a long way. But again, it's social. We form pelotons here and we talk to each other and we have a good time. We're a social bunch.
Now, final question. Why do you ride a bike?
Why do I ride a bike? Actually, I can answer that really easily. I ride it for my mental health, my physical well-being, my enjoyment, my life. Riding a bike is one thing that it does define part of me. I enjoy being on my bike because it gives me a feeling of connectedness to the environment. So it's connectedness as well. I enjoy riding the bike because it gives me a bit of freedom when I don't want to ride, or if we want silence and we just want to ride with just our own thoughts in our head, we go single file, and you and I don't, we just spread out a wee bit when we ride together, and I'll ride by myself. I also like to ride with groups. St Kilda Cycling Club's a great club for riding out in groups. So you get the social aspect of it as well. You make a lot of friends. Why I ride, there's so many reasons why I ride. It's more of a question would be, why did I allow myself not to ride for several months? And that really boils down to other people controlling what I did. I love my bikes and I love riding. It's one thing that really centers me and gives me the ability to cope with everything else that's going on.
Do you think you could nail it down to one word?
Well-being.
Thanks, Dad, or Edward Hore from the Click, from the show, from the Click.
Well, let's see. This is going up on the Click Online Media,
Yeah,
and it's going to be tagged with the Australian Cycle Alliance, and it'll go up on Cycle as well. So, yeah, I think you nailed it.
yeah, okay, sweet. So thanks for watching. If you want to be in his chair, you're welcome to message us and see if you want to be on the show. I might be in his chair as well, just so the audience knows what this segment is about. We want to make sure that anyone can be on the segment, no matter who you are, no matter what you ride. It doesn't really matter, as long as we get to hear why you ride a bike. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great night, or a great day, or a great morning. Hope you had a great commute to work.
Or good
Unless
coffee.
it's on the weekend. If it's on the weekend, I hope you went out for a ride this morning. Or are you going to go out on a ride?
Or there could be a trader. They could be riding the construction site.
But let's hope they're not riding and watching this on their mobile phone.
No, that could be problematic.
That would be problematic.
But if they're on an ergo.
Well, they could be on a cargo bike, and the person in the front seat could be holding it, and the tray could be holding it.
If you're watching this on a cargo bike,
let us know.
Yes,
yeah,
please.
We would love to know that.
We would love to use your cargo bike for that reason.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you everyone for watching. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.